Hello and welcome to the Karmotrine Lounge. I'm your host, Cherry Bomb.
I'm your co-host, Eyeball. Got a little bit of a different episode today, talking about the Mortal Kombat franchise, fighting games. To anyone uninitiated, very violent fighting games. Uh, I love them dearly. They have a special little place in my heart ever since I was playing them when I was too young to, and getting really violent and stuff like that. What about you? What about you, Cherry?
For me, I've always loved the games because, to me, my father, he always was a big emulation fan, so he gave me just a bunch of emulate games, and eventually I found the dreaded Mortal Kombat, and then I just had fun with it.
Really, you went through emulation. I started on the PlayStation 2 with the 3D era games. Did Mortal Kombat Deception and Armageddon and stuff like that. But they went back quite a while. Like Mortal Kombat's been a franchise, fighting franchise for years at that point even. It's
And
like
then, and quick historical fact: do you know what Mortal Kombat also created?
the ESRB baby.
Yep, that's what I was gonna mention. That and Night
Yep,
Trap.
Night Trap and Mortal Kombat. Yeah, they created the rating system because we had little babies running into the arcade and ripping each other's heads off in the games, quite literally. Parents didn't like that.
In my
But
defense, I think my dad quite liked me watching me play Mortal Kombat.
yeah,
It
that's
was
a
just
twisted man.
not twisted, just like look at this idiot. That's not how you scorpion dip shit.
Exactly. It's even as a franchise, it's still going strong to this day. At the time of recording here, we got Mortal Kombat 11 finishing up on itself, and I love playing that one. It's a good one.
I had
Uh,
fun playing it with you.
Yeah, exactly. We fight occasionally in that because it's good old. It's got good mechanics. It's got great amount of polish and all the gore and stuff, which a lot of people don't like, and I understand that. It makes a lot of sense to not like a series because it's just overly graphic. It's over the top, but I think it's kind of charming.
It's what separates Mortal Kombat from other fighting games currently.
Yeah, it is. Like it's a lot of people say that like without the violence it wouldn't be anything, but I disagree because not only is there like actually a mechanically in-depth game, there, but there's also a lot of other things to like the characters and the world setup and the lore and deep lore. Like for anyone who doesn't know, Mortal Kombat has some really deep lore for some reason. Like it goes into it, and I know a little bit about it. More than the normal kind of people should know, but it's way more than just like, look, there's the ninjas, jumping at each other and ripping each other to pieces. Got actual story and stuff to work with there, which I've always loved about it. I
I
think that's really unique.
I've loved it ever since the 2011 reboot.
Yeah, you liked the reboot and Mortal Kombat 9, as they call it unofficially.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked it too, honestly. I was afraid that they were gonna just forget about it, like that kind of a reboot, and forget about everything before it. But they actually worked with it really well. And like in this story, it's actually like a time travel story of the end of Mortal Kombat Armageddon on the PS2, which was like the end of the world and everyone dying. Like Raiden goes back in time and like changes fate and like goes back to the first game and like does I think redoes all the events for it and changes it all up. And they've had a problem with time travel, honestly, because even now Mortal Kombat 11 is going through time travel and stuff like that.
That's
And it
actually
makes sense.
its main gimmick in 11 is the time travel because
It makes
that's
sense though, because like a lot of characters died, and a lot of people didn't like that. Like my main squeeze, Melina, she got killed in Mortal Kombat X, and then Baraka too. They got rid of all the cool characters, started replacing them with okay characters, but you know that's for a little later, I think.
mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, you know what? Mortal Kombat has had a lot of spread over the years. It's been between games, they've done films, they've done like cartoons for kids, which I think is the funniest thing ever because you look at a franchise about like gutting your friends and then put it in like a little cartoon for kids. I just think it's crazy to me. Like,
That's how it was in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just like I never would have thought to be like, yep, this is the kids franchise. I guess they were ahead of their time because they knew kids were playing it no matter what.
Hmm.
But I don't know, weird. I much prefer it being very graphic and adultery, or not adultery. I mean more like for adults.
Adultery, Mortal
Well, there
Kombat,
is there's a
Mortal
little bit of
Kombat.
sexy stuff, but
But no, I
no
do love Mortal Kombat for its blood as well.
blood. Like just the gore, they're creative. That's what I really like about it is that they're really just joking around at this point because you see a bunch of stuff that happens in those games and you're like, wow, that's ridiculous. You know, it's like you can go to like movies like Saw and be like grossed out because that's like, you know, that's torture porn and like all the gore and stuff like that. But there is even a very thinly veiled level of realism to Saw because it's happening in real life. But in Mortal Kombat, like you do like an X-ray in Mortal Kombat, and like Scorpion like throws two spears through your eyes, throws you to the ground, jumps through hell with the chainsaw attached to you, and like just do like crazy shit, you know, like that's never gonna happen in real life. And that's what's fun about it, I think. Like
The fun is the
Jax like kills you, like
unrealistic
it's crazy.
parts of the game.
And there are some, yeah, there. That's what a lot of people do have a problem with, right? Because there are some that are just like there's like Johnny Cage or whatever.
He'll
He'll
punch you in
just
the
beat. He'll
nuts.
just punch you. He'll just punch you. He'll just beat the shit out of you like that, right? Like Scorpion's got like fireballs and shit like that, but Johnny Cage just like beats the piss out of you, which is funny, but also a little graphic.
He
A
also does
little
it
graphic.
very, very showboaty where he punches you in the nuts.
Yes, I know. I know the nut punching is very important to you. Yes,
It's
it's.
called the Nutcracker, and I love it.
I know it's the Nutcracker. It's it's got style. It's got personality. That's what I like. There's a lot to praise about Mortal Kombat. Um, there is a lot to not praise though. There's been a few duds, a few games even that are kind of shitty. To be honest, they did that. You know, everyone thinks of like Mortal Kombat versus DC. That was the right stinker, I think. I mean, it was an okay game, but like
I,
it couldn't get violent because you can't have Superman get gutted or anything. So it's just like, oh,
I think they
it was
did
not
my
good.
boy Kano very dirty in that game.
Yeah, he had the fatality where he threw you up in the air and then you came down and he stomped on you and then you died, I guess.
But then you kind
Like,
of like came back up or something.
no, you just wiggled around like he didn't kill you. And it's like, oh, okay. Like it's just I don't know. Mortal Kombat without the blood is Mortal Kombat without the gore is like it's not the same game. It's missing something, and you know everyone will always say it's like well, if it needs the blood, then it's not a good game or whatever. But it's like come on, have a little fun, you know. See like Baraka impale you on his blade arms, and you're like, well, have a little bit of that's crazy. Have some fun with it. Don't be like oh this is too much or whatever. It's fine. It's fantasy. Whatever. Don't try and make Mortal Kombat realistic, which is what the new movie did, which is is bad. I think it's really bad. I think it's dumb
Yeah.
because like you could literally pick a character's name out of a hat, and any one of them would be like, "Wow, that's completely unrealistic and crazy," and I love it. That's the whole point.
Hmm.
But that's also why we're doing the MK episode now because Jerry and I just recently saw the new movie that came out, I guess, in 2021. I guess if you're watching this in the future, it's it's got a little bit of the fandom divided. I've found the Mortal Kombat movie. It's different. It's kind of weird. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't think Cherry is either. But
I am not. They
you
did,
know,
of course, my boy Kano very dirty,
I mean,
and
okay,
your
they
girl.
did a lot of people dirty. Okay, but like Kano, honestly, he didn't get it that bad. He
Raiden got it pretty bad.
Raiden got it pretty bad. Raiden got it pretty bad. So, all right, let me just if you haven't seen the Mortal Kombat movie, we're gonna be spoiling the hell out of it. So
Yeah.
if you plan on watching it or you're at all interested in like the games or anything, like go watch it. You know, go watch it legally, of course. I wouldn't tell you to go pirate it or anything because we didn't do that. We
No,
we watched it very legally. Um,
we gave Warren Brothers all of our doubloons.
yes, we did. But it's essentially like a little rundown of the film is it's kind of like an outline of the first film, the Shang Tsung tournament arc where they gotta, Outworld is fighting for the right to like take over Earthrealm, and Raiden's gotta assemble his little gaggle of freedom fighters or whatever it be to stop them,
What are
which
we?
sounds
Some
fun.
kind of Mortal Kombat squad?
Well, that's what they walked in as. Remember, they were like, "This is suicidal," but in the end, it turns out. However, the biggest problem with it, and I'll get it out of the way fast, or not even fast, but just right away, is that they they brought in they brought in like a nameless protagonist, like no someone like made for the movie. Some people say, "Oh, that's a good thing because it lets you introduce the concepts of the foreign film like to someone who doesn't understand it." Yeah, okay, but it also gave birth to Cole Young,
I
which
was
is
about to say his name because I thought you
Cole
forgot.
Young. I knew you were Cole Young. Um, he might be my least favorite Mortal Kombat, character ever. No, even compared to all the old characters that were stupid, like you know, but Cole Young is awful because he's just they. Okay, let me digress a little bit. Let me digress before we destroy Cole Young here. He's like an
We
MMA
roast
fighter.
him.
And he's like, yeah. Before we completely roast him here, he's an MMA fighter that was like related to Scorpion in a past life, and or not even a past life, just related to Scorpion in general. And then he has to assemble with, like Sonya and Jax and Liu Kang and all them to go and be freedom fighters or whatever it be. And it's so lame. It's so lame, honestly, because like everyone in that movie has like magic. They call it Arcana or whatever, which makes this is why Sub Zero can shoot ice, and this is why you know Ray or Liu Kang has fire. But like a, a lot of them were really dumb. Like Kano can shoot a laser eye, not because he has cybernetics like he should. He just gets the laser eye because of magic.
I
Which,
remember watching that scene. And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna do it," and I'm gonna be disappointed.
well, I thought they gave him a scar because he killed Reptile, and I was like, oh, they're gonna cover that up with cybernetics, but they didn't. They didn't. It was just like, oh, all right. And it
Wait,
Sonya has little
I
wrist
have another
gauntlets.
I have another thing that I might want to bring up that I just realized as soon as you said that.
Yeah, what's that?
If Reptile was a contestant and he was defeated by pretty much like Sonya and the team,
Yeah, it was Kano that killed him.
yeah, but like Sonya was still there and she didn't have a
Yeah,
mark,
yeah.
why didn't
Well,
she get the mark?
that's how Kano got his mark.
No, he
Was
had
by
it before.
he did. Okay, well, Reptile wasn't a contestant. I don't think they just sent him in to try and sabotage them.
Yeah,
Okay,
fair.
first of all, there were no contestants. Reptile didn't have a mark. He's just a weirdo. It wasn't actually even a proper fight because Shang Tsung tried to gank them early and kill them. Also, I actually can't believe that they talked about like Shang Tsung and stuff without bringing up any mention of Shao Kahn. There's a statue of him in one of the scenes, but like Shang Tsung was like a loyal to Shao Kahn. It doesn't make any sense. Melina's there. Shao Kahn made Melina. It doesn't. There's a lot of loopholes, but yeah, they like Cherry was saying, you got to transfer marks between people to like get magical powers, right? That's why Sonya was lame because she didn't have a mark until she uh who'd she
He
kill to get the mark?
she actually beat Kano.
She killed Kano and that's how she got her mark?
Yep.
Oh yeah, he died. Yeah, I forgot. Well, yeah, honestly, I mean, I can hate the MK movie as much as I want, but if you're watching it purely because you want like some like dumb action movie to watch, I've seen worse. A lot of the scenes and the fight stuff was actually good. Like
Hmm.
started off with like the Sub Zero and like Scorpion fight, like that wasn't bad. We were all kind of impressed at the start when we saw that, but it quickly turned into some lame shit going on there with their story presentation.
I would argue that this movie is almost really good with cheap alcohol, a
Yeah,
ton
if
of
you get drunk
wings,
and watch it,
ton
yeah,
of like buffalo wings or like whatever flavor you want, or cheap pizza. It's just a
get your gang
guy.
together.
It's just a guy movie.
Mm-hmm. get your gang together, get drunk, watch the MK movie, have a blast. You start looking at it a little deeper, like I unfortunately wanted to do. Start
I
seeing
as
some really
well.
dumb things going on, like the characters even. Like I said, Cole Young. Oh, by the way, Cole Young's fucking his superpower is actually plot armor, and I remember when I first saw it, I immediately thought that. I said that he's got plot armor, and because he gets it when he's fighting Goro, who first of all also would have shown up and ripped him in half, but I guess whatever. He gets this weird magical like golden armor and like tonfas and shit, and kills Goro with them, which is just super lame. It's like Goro, he's the prince. He's the prince of those four-armed people. You should just kill him.
Just kill
But
with plot armor.
yeah, but he like blocks all the hits because he has plot armor because it shows up right when he needs it. It would sucked. It was awful. But
That and another thing is Goro only screams.
Goro's like yeah, Goro's a person. He can talk. He's not retarded. All right, like but in this movie they treat him like a big old hulking beast,
Hmm.
which
His race is
whatever I
actually
guess.
like a very noble thing, but then in the movie he like often uses like secondary weapons stuff.
That was the big thing I remember is that Goro like they never used well, they could use weapons, but they didn't usually because it was like they didn't need them. But in this one, Goro's grabbing shit left and right to beat him with, and it's just like Goro can literally grab you and rip you in half. He's done this on so many occasions, it's not even funny. But the characters would be super important, honestly. They bring in like different sides of the MK universe because it's gigantic, right? They got so many characters to pick from, and a lot of characters they picked, they made sense. We got all the classics. We got Liu Kang. We got or what do you call him? I always forget him. Hat Man, Kung
Kung
Lao.
Lao.
Yeah, they got Kung Lao. Raiden, Sonya, the Special Forces, except for Johnny. Um, and then Shang Tsung shows up with these really weird characters that I really wasn't expecting him to
from
have.
from Armageddon of all things.
Not like yeah. So he brings in Raiko, which is no one even knows what a Raiko is. Like he's just this big burly guy with a hammer, and even in the games he didn't even have that, and it was just why is he here? He was in one of the 3D games. I think it was Armageddon. Yeah. Well, no, he was in Armageddon because everyone was in Armageddon, but I think he showed up in Deadly Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he shows Shang Tsung shows up with Melina as well. Melina, Kano, Cabal.
No, Kano was he like
Kano
Kano?
was on the good side for a little bit. But then they bought him out because he's
It's easy.
by his. Yeah, that's I like that actually because that's always been his shtick is that Kano can literally be bought for like anything. And then Shang Tsung shows up with Natara, which is completely out of left field. She shows up swooping around like a gargoyle or whatever she is, and I was like, "Is that Natara?" And like, no one else knew who she was because
I had a brief idea of who she was.
she was in. I know she was in Deadly Alliance as like a one-off character. We never saw her again, and then she gets like sawed in half by Kung Lao's hat, which was an awesome scene. I'll praise that. The
She
scene
did.
where Kung Lao he surfboards her into the hat. That's funny.
She did have an appearance in like the animated Scorpion movie that came out.
I was gonna bring up that animated Scorpion movie later because that,
Yeah.
if you're curious, that is the MK film to watch. Like if you really wanna get into Mortal Kombat and shit and the lore, you watch that. Because I watched it on my own after because I wanted some good stuff, and I was very satisfied with that movie.
Yeah.
But
For now, we're gonna continue with the slight ranting of the movie.
yeah, so I mean, in the end, it's a dumb movie. It's Mortal Kombat the movie, but like it's disappointing. You got Raiden being a gatekeeper. All he does is teleport people around because he's not allowed to intervene. But it was like good. Like it gave them the excuse to put everyone in the MK arenas that everyone knows about, like the pit and the portal and shit like that. But it's just like that was unnecessary. Like man,
I will give some praise of the movie. They did give, I think, 3 or 4 characters like really good appearances.
yeah, Cabal looked good. I
Cabal
liked
was
Cabal.
Cabal was spot on.
Yeah,
In
he was
lore,
pretty good.
he made the most sense out of all of them, arguably.
No, well, no. So that's the thing. So he looked good, but he shows up and he's like Kano, Kano did this to me, put me in an iron lung, and it's like, yes, he did, because
He
you
was trying to
got like
save you.
he did, he saved him, and that's why Cabal turned Black Dragon, and then he betrays him later, I know, and goes and finds, like, I think it's the Red Dragon or whatever the other opposite gang is. Um, and I don't know, he really acts like Kano's the one that fucked him up in the first place and put him in that, but it was Motaro, I believe, that did that on MK9. So I mean, if they're doing some extended universe thing and it's its own film, that's fine. Then it's fine, I guess. But I mean, I was kind of like nitpicking at that point in the film where I'm like, what is going on? They got they got Bihan running around as in his noob appearance, like in his black suit, but he's still using ice powers.
Which is
And you
confusing
got
because he's supposed to be Sub-Zero for now.
yeah, he was Sub Zero. It makes sense kind of that he's dead because Sub Zero died a long time ago, and they needed an excuse for him to be around still. But it's just like I don't know. A lot of it was okay. I rated like a 6 out of 10. Like it was an okay film. Like it
I
was
would
kind of dumb.
I would honestly give it a 5 out of 10.
5? No, that's fair. That's fair. Because I don't know. Like compare it even to the older movies, right? Like those weren't masterpieces or anything, but they're kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like how it is. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's
Hmm.
it's easy. It's a Mortal Kombat movie. Just have them fight.
They,
Don't try
they
and
they did
over
have them
explain
fight,
things.
thankfully. It wasn't
They
just
did.
talking.
There was some good fights. Yes. Uh,
Do you want to complain about how they butchered one of your favorite characters?
yeah, I was actually just about to. I looked at my list here. Yeah, Melina. So I originally didn't buy MK11 because I was like, it's expensive and I don't really have. I resonate with characters a lot, and they kind of didn't have anyone that I really liked. Um, then Melina came out as DLC, and I was like, that's it. That's my main because I mained her in MKX and played her a little bit in 9 and all that. And I'm like, this is good. And I play her now, and I'm like, this is great. I love it. So when I saw she was in the movie, I was like, wow, this is cool. I like that they're gonna do something with her. They didn't. They did not.
They
Well, they
really
did.
didn't.
They did do something with her, but it was not very good.
Then her
It
outfit
was
was kind of off.
so she shows up wearing like black spandex, which like I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of Melina, but like her main thing is pink. I'm not saying she needs to show up in a pink leotard, but like
Pink or like really bright purple.
yeah, she's always been the purple, pink, like that kind of color. You know, to Katana's blue, but then it's like she's just wearing black here, and it's like they could have given her a little bit of pink highlights in the outfit or anything. It would have been fine, but they didn't. Um,
Then her
they,
mouth was slightly
they
off.
slightly off. They gave her a normal person mouth with all the red paint all over it, which if
Made her look
also
like
if
she just ate messy spaghetti.
pretty much like if you know anything about Melina, it's that she's known as Butterface because she's a super hot chick, but like she wears a veil over her mouth because she has a Baraka mouth. She's got the Tarkatan teeth. Um, yeah, and she kind of had little sharp teeth in this one, and then at the end,
Oh,
you
one
know,
more thing I want to bring up about her. She doesn't speak like normal. Because in the game, she's like,
she
I'm
speaks like a
Melina.
Tarkatan.
Yeah.
Yes, she's Shang Tsung made her Shao Kahn. I mean, sorry, Shao Kahn made her and spliced Edenian DNA with Outworld DNA with like Tarkatan DNA and got that. They tried to do the way she spoke. They tried to give her that secondary voice thing, but it was really weird and I didn't like it. They it was really weird. And then they gave her teleportation shit and her sai, the little stabby things, which or whatever. But then in the last fight, she actually opens her mouth and like her cheeks rip open and whatever, and she gets all her big teeth. I'm like, wow, this will be. Finally, they actually did it. Um, and then she like
Going for the
jumps in.
lick.
She yeah she did stab. I think she stabbed Sonya and like licked the side. And I'm like, yeah, all right, that makes sense, whatever. But she jumps on like Cole Young and essentially just starts gnawing on his tonfa, which like was extremely dumb. She's not stupid. She's supposed to be the new Khan. Like she leads an outworld rebellion. She's not a monster. she's she is a monster actually, but she's not stupid like they portrayed her there. And then she gets like ass blasted by Sonya's like weird purple like gauntlet powers.
Sonic Boom stuff.
It's just yeah, and just dies. And I was like, what? They did her so dirty. I was hoping they'd do something with her at least, but they did not. It's like at least Kano gets to show up and be Australian and be a shit eater and just be like, an
He,
asshole.
he
You
he
love
was
that
the
part about him.
biggest shit eater throughout the whole
Yeah,
movie.
like he's just being a monster and you love that shit. But like Melina's just like she got shafted, which sucks. It's again, the movie's not garbage, right? Like I'm saying this a lot just because I was really excited about this and everyone was because we waited so long for a new MK film and it just kind of turned out to be okay. It's just I don't know. If you like it, that's good. That's great because that means you can support it and get people interested in this franchise rather than just the niche like I want to punch a hole in someone's stomach kind of stuff in the games.
I find it
Well,
funny
I
how you
don't
keep
think
on
I.
bringing up the game, even though like we went to the theater recently again,
Mm-hmm.
to watch an anime movie, of course. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and while watching a preview for Mortal Kombat, they never brought up the fact that it was based on the video game.
Yeah, well, they just yeah, they didn't. They just ran with it. They didn't even try and say like based on a game or anything. It's like, look, this is different. It's like I get they don't want it to be. They don't want to just like show and be like, oh, it's just a game movie. It's like trying to do something with it. It had a budget, whatever, but it's just done pretty badly,
Mhm.
honestly.
At least acknowledge it a little bit, like this was based on the arcade game from like
Anything, yeah.
yeah, or based on the
It's
books
not.
from the game.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the worst movie I've seen.
It's
I'm just
again
critical of it
a
because I
wing
was very
movie.
disappointed.
You have to watch this
Yeah,
movie while having a frick ton of wings.
something like that.
Messy
I mean,
boy
it's a
poo.
good entry point too. Honestly, if people see this movie and like, I want to learn more about this, they can look into it like after the fact, and it'd be fine. But it's just, I don't know. They set up this great world and stuff like that, and they don't really even use it in the movie, which sucks. But
Let,
I don't
let's
really have
talk.
much else to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's bring up some more like some positive things, not about the movie, but like Mortal Kombat as a whole that we've
We could
loved
bring
for
positive
ages.
stuff out in the movie. I mean, they had really good fight scenes. The costume design was usually pretty good. Oh no, actually, it was pretty good. It was straight up pretty good.
It was what they should look like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like it was good. I liked the costume design. The fight choreography was pretty good.
I think they
Uh,
are all martial.
Martial artists.
Yeah, martial artists. I said almost said
Yeah,
martial combat.
no, they were all trained for it. They they knew what they were doing. The makers of the movie obviously loved the game because there was a lot of references to it. Like Shang Tsung shows up and just like the first thing he says is "Your soul is mine," which is the classic line. That's the Shang Tsung line. They see Nightwolf on a poster or like in a newspaper article. Like there's just a lot of stuff
during
that goes on with
the
that.
during the Sub Zero fight with him and Jax. It had like the button combination for the snowball.
Yeah, yeah. They had like there was some. They knew what they were doing. It was a game movie, and it was for the people that played the games like to notice. But it's just like no, honestly, it could have definitely been worse. It also could have been better. Very middle of the road MK movie. Thumbs up
Maven's
still though. I
for
like that it's getting attention.
for me it's a middle area. Like you need
Yeah,
something else to watch the movie.
yeah, I can see that. I'm sure everyone's gonna have opinions and whatever, but yeah. So I've been talking quite a bit here. So why don't you bring some stuff up here,
Okay,
games or whatever?
so I want to bring up because I played the whole story of Mortal Kombat 11, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna stay away from spoilers because I know Eyeball hasn't played through it yet, the story
yeah,
mode.
yeah.
But the reason why I expected more out of the movie was because the story mode in 11 was genuinely really good.
It was.
It was fairly like good. Like if the movie was a 5, this story would be a 7.
Oh, that's
Like,
good.
it's not like top like area of like story,
Yeah,
but it's something at least very entertaining to watch in comparison.
yeah, that's true. I
But then
mean,
again, I did get to play
MK11.
the game in between cutscenes.
True. If you just watched all the cutscenes, you don't. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's no Mortal Kombat 11 is a very competent made game. Like if you have any interest about the series at all or anything like that, like go play Mortal Kombat 11.
Mm-hmm.
That is that is a good one. That is a solid fighting game.
It's the only game where it feels like your dad picked all the characters.
Yeah, all the DLC characters are all like 80s stars. Rambo, Robocop,
The
like
Terminator,
the Terminator. Like if you asked your
Spawn,
dad, yeah, you asked your dad who should be in Mortal Kombat, they would say all those characters, and that's really funny to me.
your dad
But
out in his lawnmower chugging that Monster Energy drink. Father,
exactly.
father, who is the next Mortal Kombat contestant, cracks open a can, sips, looks out at the yard, takes like a
Rambo.
yeah, takes out a dad
You would
breath.
say Rambo. Yeah, exactly.
Robocop.
Robo, like, I don't know if you'd say Robocop, but Rambo's a badass, Terminator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's good to hear that 11 had a pretty decent story. It makes a lot of sense, actually, because, yeah, no, they know what they're doing. The story in MK games has actually usually been pretty good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even back in 3D area, it made sense at the very least. It wasn't just the blood.
The
Well,
only reason why some of the early games didn't have that good of story, I'm talking like Mortal Kombat 1 to 3, was
yeah.
because it was an arcade game and you only played for like, if you were good, you played for the whole 15 minutes.
Like they Mortal Kombat 1 actually had a good enough story. Like it was simple. It was the Shang Tsung tournament. You're fighting to defend Earthrealm or whatever based on the character you pick, right? A lot of them got retconned over the years, but a lot of things have stayed as it was. Like Sub Zero in MK2, Sub Zero got turned into a new Sub Zero because it's Bi-Han. He dies. Mortal Scorpion kills him and then you get new Sub Zeros and stuff. Like it's all been very consistent. Honestly, it's not definitely not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite Mortal Kombat memory that has nothing to do with Mortal Kombat was a local restaurant had a Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, and it was like a messy barbecue place, and it was covered in barbecue sauce, but I did not care. I was having fun playing as Scorpion.
You know what? That's kind of power these games have, right? Just go have fun. Who cares about the barbecue sauce in the machine?
Who cares that the whole place smells like delicious meat and that's always on free play mode, which I gotta give them credit to that. I love when companies do that.
No, they get rid of the coin fest operation. They're just like, go have fun at this arcade.
Yeah, because they know like it's not like their major like way of getting money anymore.
Yeah.
Back in the
No,
day,
you
it
know
could have
what?
been.
Arcades are getting more and more scarce. I feel bad for the kids didn't ever went down to the cabinets and played, their buddy in Mortal Kombat. I mean, I didn't do it to be honest, but I've played an arcade game before, and there's just like in a cabinet, there's just something about it. A lot of people are missing these days.
Yeah, I mean, where we live, there's not a big demographic, but when I went to a neighboring part of the country that we live in,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop the place, but it was called the Rec Room.
You can name drop it, give them
Yeah,
publicity. Why not?
yeah.
It's like an arcade or what?
It was exactly what I wanted from like an arcade. It had like arcades of like old games to like current games and like big version of Pac-Man where you had the big stick.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun going there, and
Yeah, classic stuff.
I think they had like either a Mortal Kombat XL machine, so you could play like Mortal Kombat, the modern version, or it
What the hell?
was
There was Mortal Kombat XL machines?
well, I think it was like a custom one that they had where you just like got to play for a couple, like you played around and then just left.
Yeah, it was just obviously like the game itself poured into a cabinet.
Yeah, and I think in one corner, because I didn't have enough doubloons, and I it was with my very young brother, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
show him Mortal Kombat because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to give him nightmares. Kid loves
Yeah.
Luigi.
Exactly. Like it's yeah, definitely not a franchise for kids. I don't think, but
But
fine.
they
You
had
know
a
what?
Mortal Kombat, I think 3 cabinet there, and it
Yeah,
looked
that's
amazing.
classic. Ultimate Mortal Kombat. Get all the characters and stuff.
And I think in the background, because I think in that machine it played the original like techno theme of Mortal Kombat, or maybe it was playing over a
Yeah.
speaker.
Oh, yeah, the classic one. Yeah.
The techno like Mortal Kombat, dun 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 dun. That banger.
Yeah, yeah. Like the Mortal Kombat theme, which I'm very sad was not in the movie. They did a little bit of it, but they did it real dirty.
They dubstepped it really bad.
Yes,
This is coming from a man who loves making music. They did it so dirty.
they did it dirty. But I mean, they modernized it. It's essentially it's a modern MK film. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Gotta
But
introduce the young
the
teens.
youngins, yeah, yeah, the babies to Mortal Kombat. No, it's
Maybality.
it's fine. Honestly, if you showed it to your friend who didn't know anything about it, it would be just like fine. Be like, oh, that was okay. It's not, you know, it's inoffensive.
Yeah.
I think at least.
Better
I mean,
than
I
the
know you're
Street
a little
Fighter
bit mad
movie.
about it. Better than the Street Fighter movie. Exactly. Ugh. Anything else? Anything else to add to this?
To this episode or like the discussion of Mortal Kombat.
Well, it's a, yeah, to Mortal Kombat, to anything. Yeah, it's both.
um, I guess like Mortal Kombat has always been kind of close to me because like it was like during that slight rebellious stage in my life a little bit
Yeah,
because I'd always play like these emulated games, of course.
right.
But I always like lean into like Mortal Kombat and arcade games because I love how simplistic they are. They're just pick up and play games.
Yeah, exactly. It's fighting games. It's just you can get good, but just play it, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, I definitely agree. It was played Mortal Kombat growing up, and it was just it got a special place in my heart for all the story, the characters, and what have it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very. It's a different kind of game. Which it sounds really cliche, right? But it's just I don't know. It's not. If you say I want to play a fighting game, it's just I never think of playing Mortal Kombat. You always got to be like, let's play Mortal Kombat, and you're like, all right, that's how we do it.
For
Play
me,
fighting game,
the
you play something like Skullgirls, you know.
fighting game for me is whenever people say generic fighting game, it's Street Fighter. Just because
Street
that's like
Fighter, yeah, of course.
it's that safe middle ground between Smash Brothers and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's not for babies and it's not for adults. It's like, well, okay, honestly, if you found like a 30-year-old that loved Mortal Kombat, I'd be really surprised. Maybe not these
Um,
days because that's how old they can be.
I was about to say my dad's friend really
Well,
loves
yeah.
like Mortal Kombat.
Well, okay, what I mean is like it's definitely like kind of edgy because people are exploding and stuff. It's made for like young adults. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like 25s, like maybe yeah, probably early 30s. But like
It's one of
my
those
dad doesn't
games
like it.
that you chug Mountain Dew.
Have a few beers and play Mortal Kombat sounds like a great time to me, honestly.
Yeah, Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat was actually one of the games or one of the reasons why I bought a fighting stick.
Yeah, right. Get the fight stick, play some MK. Can't go wrong with that.
The only problem is it doesn't have enough barbecue sauce on
Yeah, well, you can add that yourself.
it.
You want the authentic experience, you can add that yourself. If you really feel like it.
I just go
It's,
back to the smoked meat place. Just put it there for an hour.
I swear to God, if I go over to your house and I see that fight stick and it's like sticky with barbecue sauce, you are getting dumped. You're getting dunked on. Like
No, I take really good care of it
I know,
actually.
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
not
don't
to
think there's
Frank.
really anything else to
Uh,
throw in here. I mean, if you have any last ideas or things to say, then go ahead.
I was gonna like do like a bit of like a personal thing. What was like always your weirdest inclusion to the Mortal Kombat series? Weirdest fighter?
Like that I in my opinion, what I like
Yeah, just a
my
couple of them.
favorite or what?
Just a couple of them. Like, what was like the weirdest like character?
Um, Shujinko from Deception was a really weird character, and I've said this before. They should have made him the protagonist of the MK movie because he's literally the same character as Cole Young, where he's just a young kid that goes around and trains with all the greatest fighters in the MK universe, and then just gets super strong by the end of it. It's in the story mode of the game, but it was kind of weird. He's just an old man, but he's very basic. But he learns from everyone, like every character in the roster. So it's just kind of weird, but I liked him too. Um, Melina, super weird, like such a weird character, but I love her for it. So I'm
Weird in a
really,
good way, if you know what I
yeah, like
mean.
she's super weird. She's like this like sexy lady doing flips and cartwheels and shit, but then she also like eats you quite literally. Just
One of her moves is
yeah,
just like
takes a bite. Yes,
grossly licking you.
yeah, and then taking a bite out of you. Like that's her whole thing. I'm a big fan of the really outlandish MK characters. That's why I don't really like playing Scorpion or Sub Zero. Even they're just dudes, but they're normal. But then you like throw out like Ferritor from MKX or like Melina, Baraka, any of those weirdos.
You got
Devora, yeah,
Chameleon.
well that's deep lore. Chameleon with the K is the deep lore,
It's not
but
really,
it
but
is. It was only in Armageddon.
oh yeah, it was.
No one. It was also a Wii. The K. Chameleon with a K was a Wii exclusive Armageddon game like character. Like
Where it was a female version.
yeah, the regular version was in regular more was in regular Armageddon, but the Wii exclusive Chameleon with a K was the girl version.
And one of the
See,
usual sexy female ninja looks.
if you could see her, be my guest. She was invisible
Yeah,
except for her ninja outfit changing color. Like
she had like the razor like RGB lights.
your RGB outfit. Yeah, no, it was no. The really outlandish characters I really like. Honestly, I mean, what are a few of yours?
A few of mine that I always like. These are like I'm gonna bring up a couple of the DLC fighters that always got to me. Um,
Yeah.
we have like the horror icons, that
Oh
being
yeah.
Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, Alien. I would qualify him as horror.
Well, Alien and Predator both
Yeah.
got in, which was legendary. Like I'm really happy about that on MKX.
Mm-hmm. MKX is amazing, but also has a couple dumb characters like Bo Raichu. If I'm
Bo Raicho, I hate that Bo Raicho is so important in MK lore, and then they made him the fart joke character. Like
he's drunk and farts. He's just
he trained Liu
mature
Kang. Like
Wario.
he's the guy that made like Liu Kang like the protector of Earthrealm. Like Raiden didn't train him. Like it was Bo Raicho. That's where you learn. Shujinko too also learns from Bo Raicho, which could have been a good link. Like I just think that Bo Raicho's really done. He's done really dirty. He's done really badly, and he shouldn't be because he's super important.
There's also a couple dumb ones like my favorite mocap.
Mocap is so insulting.
I
It's an
mean,
Armageddon.
it's a reference to how the originals were made.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, if we were gonna talk about the dumb kid, you got Meat, a
Love it.
Dramen.
I actually do love meat.
Meat is okay. So you think Mocap is dumb, but Meat isn't. He's just a skinless dude with.
I mean, he was
Uh,
in two games compared to mocap.
yeah, I know. Well, Meat was a secret character in 4, but I know what you mean. Cobra was a dumb character from Deception because he's literally just some martial artist like Liu Kang knockoff, but like worse.
Oh, for a second, I
Like,
thought Cobra was another reptile because so far we have three of those:
do we have 3 We have Chameleon,
um,
Reptile, and what?
chameleon, and reptile.
Okay, okay. Both the chameleons are literally the same character. Like, one's a girl and one's a guy, though.
Yeah,
Can't throw that in there. Reptiles, they don't have. I was really surprised they didn't have Reptile in MK11.
me too. I was
Like,
actually really disappointed because I
they brought
love
Shang Tsung with him in there, and I'm like, okay. But then they brought Rain, of all people, into the new roster, which is weird.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain, he's fun, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I missed Reptile. I never played Reptile, but I don't know. He's a staple to me. He's the
I
green ninja,
actually used to main Reptile for a little.
right? Reptile, Ermac, like the different colored ninjas, like they need to be there, I think.
Yeah, if there's ever a Mortal Kombat 12,
Well, there will be.
yeah, there will be.
I hope their shtick for Mortal Kombat 12 is just a giant roster because Armageddon had like 100 characters in it, which was fun, but also had a lot of cut development time for it.
If they could make an Armageddon 2 where it's, I would say 50 at most.
Well, just give us all the classic, not like Armageddon's problem was that it gave us literally every character ever mentioned,
Your own OC
and
as well.
yeah, and your own create a character stuff. Like literally just give us every character, every big character from the new generations, like after 9. None of the crazy DLC characters. We don't
Maybe
need
not
Freddy and
Striker.
stuff. No, I'd be fine with Striker because he's dumb, yeah, but he's already been there. Like the reason why he hasn't been in any of the newer games besides 9 was just because it's
He's
a dude with
lame.
a taser. He is lame, but like he's Striker. He's
He's just
classic.
Paul Blart.
Okay, okay. They added Robocop, which is literally just Striker. Like the reason why Striker's not in is because Robocop's in. I'm serious. Like he's literally the same character.
Is it bad?
It's a cop.
I actually do prefer RoboCop over Striker.
I think it's so weird they have the Nuvi characters in, but they've done it. They've been doing it for years, so I can't say it's unheard of. It's just, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yep. Just a weird game for weird boys
Yeah,
with
weird.
weird
Mortal Kombat's
wings.
definitely weird, but definitely play Mortal Kombat. That's the shit. Play it. Have fun.
Play
Rip your
most
friend's
of the
spine out.
games except for Sub Zero Mythos, but how the hell did you get Sub Zero Mythos?
If you yeah if you're a deep lore boy and you came in here and started asking us about Sub-Zero mythology, I would be like, wow. I would be impressed. No, play any of the new games, anything from like Mortal Kombat 9 like until 11, like those are all solid games, honestly.
And
Like
if you're feeling retro, play 1 till I think 3 or 4.
1 to 3, 4 you can definitely skip 4 because it's literally just look, we're in 3D now and it's just 3 except in 3D.
Yeah.
And play like Deception because I have bias to that. Like honestly, you can literally pick a Mortal Kombat game out of a hat from the main series games, and you'd be fine because they're all very solid games.
hmm
I think, but I don't think there's anything else to add.
No, this is actually one of like a nice like episode. It's just us shooting the
Yeah,
shit and talking about one of our favorite fighting games.
yeah. Well, that aside from the movie being kind of lame, but them's the works, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they make a better one. To be honest, then this entire episode could like piss someone off. They really liked the Mortal Kombat movie, and they're just like these guys talk about how much they hate it for like an hour, but
It actually hasn't been that long. We only talked about it for about 15 minutes.
oh, that's good then. That's fine. They can make it through that. I mean, I hope they would at least have enough patience to make it through that.
hmm
Then, hey, you know what? If you disagree with us, leave us a comment down below. You see, I'm plugging it. Leave
In
us
the
a comment
comment
below and tell
in the
us why.
comment section below.
In the comment section below, why don't you tell us why you didn't like it or why you didn't like our opinions? And while you're at it, why don't you no, no. You can, I mean, absolutely. If you feel inclined enough and you want to leave us a comment and tell us why the Mortal Kombat movie was actually great, but I'm going to sit here and say that it's not. Uh, yeah, and my authority is everything. So I say it's bad and it is
You're the
bad.
ruler
So
of
sorry.
everything apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we're just wasting time here. So I
Yeah.
think it's time we wrap it up.
Yeah. And I'd also like to have a brief moment to apologize on the spacing of this episode compared to the last one.
Yeah, that okay. That is true. If you were one of the very few people here that were waiting with bated breath for our newest episode to come out, um, sorry. The easiest answer is finals for school. I'm not in it right now, but Cherry here, he got tied up pretty bad with them for like that
I
entire
almost
month.
didn't pass one of my classes.
Exactly. All right, it's a tough time these days, but you know what? We're back into the swing of things, hopefully, and we have quite the exciting plans for this show here, the Karmotrine Lounge,
Yeah.
to
And
hopefully not take a month.
hopefully we can have a somewhat regular schedule, maybe once a week, maybe every other
Yeah,
week.
we'll see. Definitely, we'll try. We'll definitely avoid the month long breaks because
Yeah.
it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, yeah, I guess this has been the Karmotrine Lounge with your hosts, Cherry and Eyeball. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, and I hope everyone who listens to this, has a very pleasant evening.
Only the people that listen, yeah. If you don't watch our podcast, you can't have a pleasant evening.
Well, I mean, in my defense, if you're not listening to the podcast, like not listening to like us speak anything, you're you don't really.
They wouldn't know,
Yeah, they
yeah.
wouldn't know. So it's
I get it. I know I'm shooting the shit out.
yeah,
You know what? Everyone have a pleasant evening.
yeah,
Just for today, though.
yeah.
After this episode, only the people that listen get the pleasant evenings.
And then you get banished to the no good evening zone.
Yeah, you get banished to the bad evenings. Jesus. All right, we're out of here. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening. Have a good evening.
yeah,
See you next episode,
yeah.
which will
See
hopefully
ya.
be soon.
Yeah. Goodbye.